Welcome, I'm Elvie and welcome back to the channel. Today I will be reviewing this Kookie watercolour tablet question mark. It's an interesting way to describe it. But it's got 12 colours on it, as you can see in the little picture. And then it's got some very simple instructions on the back, as in caution. And then a warning sign, which is always lovely, and then it's got the market by Warehouse, and then it's made in China, and then got the barcode and a little paint thing up the top. On the side it just same boring stuff. So it was $5.99. Yeah, $5.99, so $6 New Zealand. For the set, which is pretty good, you know, basic watercolour set. I already took it out of the packaging, so it's over here. I haven't used it yet, so we'll be using it together for the first time. It comes with this protective plastic case, which I'll probably just put over like a white sheet of paper so I can see what I'm mixing up. Because here there's not much mixing room. It came with a paintbrush. This is the paintbrush. It's interesting looking. I do have some backup brushes over there to use, so we should be okay. So these are the 12 colours. They look slightly like candy, lollies, but that's okay. They also look really chalky, but hey, I won't judge it until I try it, because, you know, sometimes things might surprise me. But I will be using 100% cotton watercolour paper, so, and I also might do a little doodle on this, which is just cartridge paper in the classic kind of sketchbook, just giving you a little bit of a variety. I will also be pre-wetting these, giving these guys a little bit of a chance, you know. You can't just expect the world from them. And I won't be using the white, so no reason to pre-wet that one. I did not put that on right, but that's okay. So here's the 300 GMS cotton watercolour paper. This is made by Winsor & Newton, as you can see in the front. I've stickified it a bit, but it's okay. It's gonna be a bit of a struggle to sit down, but that's okay. Now I'll use this brush. Oh gosh, oh no. Well, that was unintentional. I'll still use it. Oh, do I really want to put myself through that? Give me a second, I'll try and fix it. All fixed, like nothing ever happened. Although it's already shedding, so that's a great start. But I'll use this to swatch, and then with the actual painting, I'll use my still cheap but better paintbrushes. So that'll just make it easier for me to create something with it. There's a slightly more expensive set. I'll just start swatching these. A slightly more expensive set. So it's like $10 instead of instead of $6, sorry. But it was, it came with a better paintbrush. So if that's important to you, there was a better option for the paintbrushes. And a better colour palette as well. But I decided, since I've already tried that one, I haven't done a video on it, but they were like the first watercolours I kind of consistently used. Like, I had a Cotman set, but for some reason my brain decided to use this kind of set instead of that set. But that's okay, because I lived and I learnt that was not quite the set for me, because when I moved to better watercolours such as Cotman, I saw such a difference. I was like, wow, this paint really held me back. But not saying this is bad paint. it's just what it is. But everyone's got their paint, like their price range and what's available to them. So it doesn't matter if you're just like playing around and wanting to, give it a try if this is what you can afford. And especially if you're just getting like a child, like a birthday present, and you want to give them something kind of fun, this is perfect for them. I think this is definitely aimed at children, just because Kookie, or whatever how you pronounce the brand, I feel like it's definitely a child-aimed brand. And I say that just because I've got a lot of other kind of thing, like very similar to Crayola and what it sells, like coloured pencils, crayons. They've got a whole selection. So that's what makes me think they've marketed more towards children. And it makes sense. But, hey, here I am using them, so it doesn't really matter who ends up with it, as long as you enjoy using it. Oh, that green is struggling. Here we go. I'll swatch them on both pieces of paper, just to see if there's a colour shift at all. But yeah, I'm kind of loading these up with pigment, and it really does help that I did pre-wet it, because it'll just make the pigments easier to activate. So now I'll let that dry. I might do a little sketch underneath since I've got plenty of room there. So I'll just move that to the side and we'll move over to this paper. So yeah, this is much thinner paper. I think it's 120 GMS. So that's the thickness, and then it is definitely not cotton paper. My finger's in the way. Let me try and hold this. There we go. There we go. This paper I'm not too fussed about because it's just a random little sketchbook I have lying around. Although this brush is actually driving me mad because of how many bristles are just falling out right now. In the paint, on the paper, in the water, it's just loving it right now. It's an interesting selection of colours though, because it's got this kind of like lime green, which I'm not showing you. There we go. But it's fine. Like, if there are better options for colour palettes, but I'm in the mindset of this is for children, not this is for like someone that's starting watercolour. That's kind of the mindset I'm in. Just because, it's got pink, which is more of like a children's colour. Not saying you can't like pink if you're not a child, but you know what I mean. So I'm not going to be too harsh on it because I feel like I'm not the target demographic here. But hey, the colours are going down fine, and like they are going down, which is really helpful because the last thing I want is the colours to not even activate. And so yeah, those are the swatches for the first paper and you can kind of see a difference. I definitely can, and the colours over here are already starting to dry. I'll rub them when all of them are dry so you can see if they're chalky or not, but I'll just get a sketch down of what I'll paint and then we'll get back. So I was looking around and I was like, well, what do I draw? Because I'm using my phone to record, so I don't really have a photo reference. And so I was like, well, I'll just do lots of little individual items. So I've got my cat, a little cat cup, some salt, some bunny tails. I don't know what the actual name is, but I call them bunny tails because they look like bunny tails. And I'll just do one more little doodle. And then I'll get to painting. So now I need to decide what the last thing is to doodle. This is quite difficult. I'm under pressure now. Yeah, no, maybe I should have just kept thinking instead of starting to record again. I think I've decided on this weird duck statue. That's a very strange duck statue indeed. Oh, now I've got more room. This is what my mind goes through whenever I'm drawing. I'm like, what do I even draw? To be honest, I think that's a good little number of sketches. I can always do the background colour a different colour. But yeah, okay, now we get to starting to paint. I've got to do another doodle on this paper, but I don't know if you can tell, but the colours are not as vivid and bright as these colours here, which is crazy to see the difference. I'll put them next to each other once I've done a sketch on this paper. Here we are. I've got 2 items so far. So I decided only to do 3 little sketches for this one because I was like, actually, I don't want to do too many different paintings. But if you can kind of see the colours, you can see how kind of bold these ones are and nicely they have like dried compared to this where they're really like warping the page and stuff. And definitely in person you can see like the texture they've left behind, especially like here. And it's not like granulation, it's like a chalky kind of texture. So I'll let them dry a bit more and then I'll like wipe my finger over it to see if they, smudge off. Either way, I'll be doing a little bit of doodles. I'm using my own brush for this one just because I don't want to put myself through using the brush they provided because it's not too good of a brush. So we're just going to work with what we've got here, which is okay. And definitely on like the nicer paper, you can see why it's working so much better. Like it works so nice on the nice paper just because it's just higher quality, so it's going on really nice. Here we go. That's the first page done. Now we're moving on to the worst paper. It's doing this kind of weird thing where it's like sitting on the paper, which is slightly strange, but that's okay. See how it's kind of like just sitting on the paper instead of like soaking into the paper. It's really warping and not appreciating the high amount of water I've put on the paper. And like I need much more paint to get it as pigmented as I did on the cotton paper, which is because like the paint's not going as far as it did for the cotton paper. So those are little doodles. As you can see, it's warping quite a lot. The colour's not as vivid or like It's just kind of sitting on the paper. And now I can do a short. Honestly, I mean, it's definitely tinting and smudging, so it's definitely chalky. And this was quite a light layer filled with quite a bit of water. We'll check on this paper too. Yeah, I don't know if you can see it, but it is definitely chalky, and it is picking up once I like rub my finger on it. But these are just like minimal mixing with colours, kind of just doodles. So it's okay for little doodles, and I'd recommend it for children if you want to get them like a cheap little watercolour set they can play around with and not care about. But if you're beginning, I would not recommend this set at all. It will actually, it will make it not as fun to do and like paint and stuff. Just because like the quality is not good, and then it's also got it's got a pretty sad range of colours put together, so and there's no like proper mixing area. The brush is awful, so not beginner friend, like not if you want to learn how to use them properly. I would not recommend this set for beginners. I would recommend maybe a set by Pueblo, Da Vinci if you can afford that, or is it Da Vinci? No, it's Van Gogh. Van Gogh's the student range. Maybe Paul Rubin or Cotman if you can afford it. If you're looking for cheaper alternatives, there are plenty of options on there on eBay and Amazon if you really want. But yeah, that's the kind of difference between the papers, which really shows quite a difference, especially like it's so faint over here compared to how the colours turned out on this paper. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope this was helpful. So enjoy painting. Bye!